A serious movie regarding racism directed by a guy known for making screwball comedies. It's the polar inverse of finding out that the writer of A Time to Kill went on to write Christmas with the Cranks. Green Book, set in 1962, tells the true story of the extraordinary friendship of Don Shirley and Tony Lip. Viggo Mortensen plays Tony Lip, a poor Italian New Yorker who's got problems with gambling, smoking, getting into brawls, and he's also very prejudiced. Mahershala Ali plays Don Shirley, or Doc, a famous African-American musician who's going on a concert tour across the country, including the predominantly racist Deep South, where Jim Crow laws are in effect. Tony lands an interview to be Doc's driver during the tour, unaware until meeting him that Doc is black. In need of money, Tony agrees, and on the road trip, the relationship is predictably off to a bumpy start, but they eventually grow to have respect for one another that neither one thought that they could have for the other. And during the trip they use the Negro Motorist Green Book, which was a travel guide for black people that let them know which restaurants and hotels in the South would be hospitable to them. While I was interested, I wasn't particularly jazzed for this movie. It seemed like it would ultimately be a simple role reversal of the 1989 classic Driving Miss Daisy. Nevertheless, I was expecting to like it. I was not expecting to love it. I did. Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali are easily my favorite on-screen duo this year. They both deserve Oscar nominations, and I'd even say they should win. In the film, their starkly different personas make for some very funny scenes while they're on the road, Tony Lip being the simple-minded bloke who always seems a little inebriated, and Doc having the demeanor of a condescending mentor. While often hilarious, it's also very moving at times when we see how Doc helps Tony learn to be a better man, and some scenes are both funny and moving, such as when Doc is giving Tony suggestions on how to write letters to his wife while he's away. This movie is directed by Peter Farrelly, one of the brothers who brought us Dumb and Dumber, The Three Stooges, and other related comedies. This is definitely a more mature film for him, and he does a great job making these real-life people feel like real-life people. Even with Tony's antics, he generally avoids going full cartoon, with one lone exception. It's when Tony and Doc are at a fancy dinner, and Tony takes a sample of something from a platter, but hating the taste, he spits it out into a napkin and puts it back on the platter, and the server doesn't seem to care that much. That's the one instance where it skims territory that's overly cartoony. Now here's where the movie really caught me off guard. Whenever a movie is released that deals with racism in just about any form, the critics will often be very quick to call the movie timely, purely on the grounds that it deals with racism, and I usually just kind of roll my eyes whenever I see that. That being said, Green Book is a very timely film. The reason is that there are those today who have this idea that your social status determines how black or how white you are, this automatic assessment that white people are rich and privileged and black people are poor and helpless. And while there are plenty of examples of both, I feel that Green Book communicates the negative effects that such oversimplifications can have. Tony and Doc are more or less opposites of both those generalizations, especially in Doc's case. He's a black man who's rich and famous. There's a scene where their car breaks down, and as they're trying to fix it, there are these black people working in the fields on the other side of the road, and they all turn and face Doc, just glaring at him. They don't see a fellow black man. They see a white man with black skin. It's likely that they think Doc is immune to all the bad treatment that African Americans face in the South, but as we see throughout the movie, he's not. Whenever he's not on stage performing, the segregationists down there see him as just another black man and treat him accordingly. Because of all this, Doc doesn't feel like he belongs anywhere, which he expresses in a scene where he breaks down and says to Tony, "If I'm not black enough or white enough, then what am I?" These are the kind of themes that I think are very significant for the current state of America. At a time when we're getting movies that are all about just preaching identity politics and demonizing anyone who dare have a counter-argument, it's more than welcoming to see a movie that celebrates coming together and seeing each other for who we are. It may be partially because I have a soft spot for road trip movies, but I loved Green Book. With three-dimensional writing, fantastic acting, and tremendous themes, it's the #1 feel-good movie of the year and a great one to see during the holiday season. The ending of this film might come across as just your typical cliched holiday movie ending, but it is wholesome and uplifting nonetheless. I'm going to give Green Book an 85%. That's a wrap. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this review helpful. Like if you liked, subscribe for more. This is Pop Culture. I'm Alex Pop.